Hello chaps. Now first of all, before we get into this video, I know the lighting is looking a little bit dim in my room today. My excuse for that is that I live in Britain and it's November. It was never going to be the sunniest day of the year, so before I get all the comments that I sometimes get, you know, the lighting's crap, I know it is. Till I get an external light, there's not much I can do. However, today though, I think you'll be interested in this video if you're kind of a similar age to me, and there was one system that really kind of formed those early gaming years for you, console-wise I'm talking about here. We're talking about the 16-bit legend, the Sega Megadrive, or the Genesis if you're American. Now, there are lots of ways that you can relive your Sega Megadrive memories today. Obviously, the simplest way of doing it would be to use emulation, and there are some really good emulators available for PC, Windows, Mac, Linux, and actually my favourite way of playing Megadrive games through emulation is using an Android emulator called md.emu, and I play that on my Ouya console that I've reviewed in an earlier video. Have that set up in my living room in front of my 50-inch plasma. Pretty much every Sega Megadrive ROM on there. It's a great way of playing them actually. However, if you watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I'm a bit of a purist and, you know, emulation doesn't really cut it completely for me. So in this video, we're going to be looking at how you can easily play Sega, Megadrive or Genesis games on your original Sega hardware, which, to be fair, you know, nothing beats the feel of having an original Megadrive joypad in your hand and seeing the original equipment, playing it on an old school CRT monitor. That's the way I like to do it. Now, if you check out my Megadrive behind me, it's a bit too heavy to lift up, but I'll zoom in and show you here. You can see that I've got a Mega CD add-on onto my Megadrive. Now, these are readily available actually. Mine's a Model 1. It's a little bit harder to find than the more common Model 2. This is my favourite version of it though, and I actually got a bit of a bargain on this one. Picked it up for about 50 quid actually. Fully working with the manual and all the mounts and screws and everything. I will probably do a separate video on that actually, so look out for that. Now, the good thing about the Mega CD is that this was made back in 1992, and it was before, you know, CD burners were readily available. It really wasn't any concern to Sega that you'd burn your own CDs. To buy a CD burner then, it cost you like, you know, as much as a car. So you can actually just download ISOs off the internet, burn them to a CDR, put them in your Mega CD, and they'll play. And the good thing is, actually, there's about 170 games, I think, might be 140 to 170 games released for the Mega CD. And that's a really good, cheap way of expanding your Mega Drive collection if you've got a Mega CD add-on. Now, obviously, the main format for the Mega Drive and Genesis was the cartridge. And if you want to go out there and buy every single Genesis cartridge, it's going to cost you an absolute fortune. And if, like me, you're not really a game collector, you just want to play the original games, simply, there's a great little option. Get hold of one of these, a Everdrive MD. Now, I've done a video on the N64 version of this before, the Everdrive 64. What it basically is a cartridge that you put inside your Mega Drive. In the top is a little slot for an SD card, a little button on here to change game. And basically you download all of the ROM files off the internet, place them all onto this card here, and you can pop this in the top of your Mega Drive and play the original games on the original hardware. So what I'll do is I'll show you a little bit of a closer inspection of the cartridge, and I'll talk you through setting up and give you a little demo of it as well. Okay, here it is then, the Everdrive MD. Now there are a few different variations of this on the market. I think mine is a Model 3, hopefully I'm not too mistaken there. What it is essentially is an old Sega Mega Drive game that's had the guts of it ripped out, and instead a circuit board's been put in that not only connects to your Sega Mega Drive cartridge slot here, on the top of it here it's got an SD card reader as well. Now in here is some, I believe this is the way it works, it's got some kind of non-volatile flash memory inside. Then you put your SD card in there, it uses a custom operating system, and then when you select a game from the inbuilt menu, it loads the ROM file from your SD card, puts it into the cartridge's memory, and then basically the Sega Mega Drive sees it like any other game. So you can actually buy these in a few different configurations. By far the easiest way of getting it is to get a pre-built model like this. So we've got, you know, as you can see there, it is actually just a Sega game cartridge, a Japanese one by the looks of it. It's been ripped open, had the internals taken out. You can either do that yourself and just buy a bare circuit board version of it, or you can get one that comes in a case like this. Now mine cost me £70, so it's not exactly cheap. However, if you compare buying, you know, every single Mega Drive game compared to 70 quid, it is a lot cheaper and a lot more space efficient as well. I actually got mine from retrotowers.co.uk. who are not paying me for this mention. I just love their service, so I thought I'd give it a little heads up if you want to get hold of one of these. And the good news is it's really compatible with pretty much any SD card that you'll get hold of today. I bought this a couple of weeks ago from a supermarket, a Transcend SDHC card here, 4 gigabytes as well, which is pretty much more than enough to stick on every Megadrive game I want to play. And it's just a case of finding the hole in the top of the cartridge here and then inserting that into your Megadrive. Before you play games though, it does need a little bit of setting up and an operating system installing on it, so I'll give you a quick walkthrough of how to do that. Just in case you've only just got your Everdrive, mine didn't come with a manual, so I've kind of had to figure this out myself, but I'll show you it, it's dead easy. Now I've actually got my Sega Megadrive set up on my desk in between 2 monitors there. This kind of sits in the corner quite nicely, and I've actually got wires running around the back there. If we go past Return to Castle Wolfenstein, into this 14-inch CRT monitor here, which is by far the best way to play these old school systems. So what I'm going to do then, if I turn this on without having a game inserted, it will just bring up my standard Mega CD boot screen. So I'll turn the console off and we'll pop in the Everdrive MD cart into the top of the machine here, and then we'll turn it on again and we'll get some instructions on the screen. Now, this is because I haven't got the operating system installed yet, and it is really straightforward on what to do. Go to this website, http://crix.com, download the latest mdos.bin, create a folder in the root directory, pop it in there, and you're good to go basically. So we'll hop onto the PC. Okay, we're on the website crix.com now. I think that's how you pronounce it, Krikkzz, Crix. If you look on the homepage here, it actually shows you a few of the different Everdrive cartridges they make for different cartridge-based systems. The one we're interested in here is the Everdrive MD version 3. Now you can tell which Everdrive you've got, usually by the orientation of the SD card slot and the change button there as well. So that's looking a bit like mine. We'll click on that. In here, we've got the download section, that's what we need. We need the OS update, and there's only one version of it, the V1, so we'll click on that one. And if you remember, that's the file that the Everdrive told us we need on the card in a folder called EDMD, Everdrive Megadrive. So we'll try saving that onto the SD card. Now, I've actually got the SD card in my card reader on my PC. We'll make a new directory in here and call that Everdrive Megadrive EDMD. Double click on there and we'll save the mdos.bin file in there. And that's our operating system installed. Now you'll also need some game ROMs as well. Now a little legal disclaimer before you head to websites like freeroms.com and click on the Genesis section down the side here. You should legally own a copy of the original game. Now I can prove I do actually own a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog. Here's my original cartridge. So there, little disclaimer. I'm just going to download this now from this website, and we'll save that also. I will save that on the desktop for now because it needs to be unarchived. And then it's literally a case of using your unarchived program, extracting that file, and popping that onto the Everdrive cartridge. We'll pop that in the root folder for now. And then we should be able to transplant this back into the Everdrive and see how well it works. Alright, so I've got the SD card back in the Everdrive that is in the Megadrive, if you're following. So I'll turn on the machine now and we should be greeted with the operating system menu. And there we go. Now, using this is really simple actually. Literally get your Megadrive controller and then up and down and select the ROM that you'd like to load. So we're going to go with Sonic the Hedgehog World Edition I've got here. You press on load and start there. So we'll select that, and it will then erase whatever's in the flash memory on the Everdrive already, read the ROM in and load it into RAM, and there we go. And from this point on it really is just like playing the game from an original cartridge. There's no load times or anything like that, so we can start it as you can see. There you go, it is Sonic the Hedgehog as if it was played from an original cartridge. Now, if I reset the machine, there's one other thing that you would have seen in there as well. Just a quick disclaimer, actually. It says USA and Europe here. It will actually play ROMs from all over the world. They're all region unlocked when you've got an Everdrive. And also, there's another file I've got on here, Sonic the Hedgehog SMS. Now, if you remember, there was actually a peripheral released for the Mega Drive that allowed you to play Sega Master System games from the older 8-bit Sega machine. There's actually that built into the Everdrive cartridge. So if I press on here, load and start, there we go, the Master System version of Sonic the Hedgehog. So you can have a pretty big library of games actually. You can play all of your Mega Drive games and the earlier 8-bit Master System games on here as well. There you go for comparison. This was actually a pretty good port considering the limitations of the Master System, I always thought. So there you go. I might go and pour a beer and have an hour or two on Sonic the Hedgehog, I think, now. So that's how you play games from an SD card with an Everdrive MD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at danwood_UK, Google+. There'll be actually a proper page made for my channel on Google+. I know they're kind of forcing us over that way. I'm still deciding what to call it, so there should be one in the next few weeks, hopefully. Until now, you can get the links to my personal profile in the video description below, and I will see you next time.